Welcome to For the Love of Endo. This podcast exists for one reason, to serve the endodontic community. Every conversation, every question, every opinion, it's for you.
The cases that challenge you, the debates that drive you. This is a podcast for every clinician who believes the best conversations in dentistry happen after the courses end.
What you're about to hear was recorded live on the AAE26 showroom floor in Salt Lake City, Utah. This was the first conversation of many, and we saved you a seat.
Different backgrounds, different perspectives. This is where it starts. We want to take a moment and recognize the sponsors who made this first episode possible. Enova Illumination, Brasseler USA, and Vista Apex. Their support is how this show gets off the ground.
Now, let's join the conversation. All right, welcome back to For the Love of Endo. We're going to wrap it up. We got about 30 more minutes here of live streaming, and we're kind of finishing up day 2 here at AAE. So, Brett, give me your overall take on the meeting so far.
Wow, it's been powerful. I mean, I think I'm sensing like such a sense of community, and obviously the highlight is working with you, to be honest. I mean,
You're very kind.
You know, just this collaboration, I can tell it's got some magic on it. And I think in our preparation for coming to AAE and getting this going and imagining what it could be, it already feels like a lot more than I imagined. And so, and then we both had our lectures. I mean, you know, to be an invited speaker at the AAE,
It's a big deal.
it's a really big deal. And
It's
I don't
an
care how
honor.
many
It's an
times you
honor.
do it. It's amazing to be here and look at all these faces. I mean, we just have such a great collection of people, human beings that care so much and are so dedicated and love Endo.
And just the caliber of guests that we've had on this show here today, the just unbelievable with the impact that each one of our guests have had on our specialty to shape your pathway and mine.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, educators, inspirational educators that are lit up by educating and sharing, thinking of Sonia starting it off and thinking of Gary and thinking about Steve and Bruno. And I mean, you know, the list goes on. And then also to have an innovator like Andreas Schmacher, who to me,
Inventors, educators, shapers.
Yeah.
You know, I always, people like to call, influencers. I don't like to think of myself as an influencer. I like to think of myself as a shaper of this specialty too.
That's a beautiful thing.
And I think that's important. So.
Yeah, it's great. And, in terms of influence, though, I mean, where you have the most influence, in my opinion, is when you crack open your heart and you want to share and you want people to feel that. And, it was interesting because we talked a lot about sort of like a new generation of leaders, and we sort of had a taste of some of the old generation too. But listening to Steve Buchanan, it seems like he's innovated himself right back into creating some type of facility and education that is next level.
And he's still going strong.
Yeah,
he's not done.
Yeah.
And he's done so much already. So
yeah, it's like seeing him and Gary, it does sort of give you like, oh, you know what? I feel a little old. I'm not going to lie, but not in a bad way.
We kind of are.
But when you see Gary and Steve and you say to yourself, oh, we've got a big runway. Let us just be healthy. And where can we go with For the Love of Endo? Where can we take this? What can we offer our community?
How can we raise the bar in sharing our knowledge to better the specialty?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what we're looking for.
Exactly.
So, to the people out there listening, if you've got questions or something that you want us to talk about, maybe not here in this forum, but in the format when we get back home and we settle back into our daily routines and work this into our new concept. Yeah. So just DM us, make a comment of something that you just really a burning question that you say, I really need this answered, or what's your opinion on this? We're happy to dive into it. We may not have all the answers, but we're happy to talk about it.
Yeah, and we're happy to find the answers. And I mean, I think what's been really cool is like seeing the different styles of like Bill and I through the last couple of days, because the funny part about this, we've said it a couple of times, but we refused to talk about Endo until we got to this table. So we just planned and we got this all set up, but we would not talk shop. And now that we're finding there are differences in what we do and how we think. And how great is that to teach the differences, because it's about you guys figuring out what works for you.
We all think that, endodontists, we all do the same thing, and the concepts are the same, but how we apply those concepts are quite different. And our thoughts about how we apply those concepts are very, very different. So I was a little surprised by that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the most fun part is I don't know why, and it's probably just because like as a hobbyist, I really love trying new things. Like I want to see how they work. I'm curious how I can make it happen. I'm curious what I'm going to think about it. And I've always sort of put my neck out that way.
See, I've been the exact opposite.
Exactly.
I'm the turtle that pulls the head back in a little bit until other people kind of test the waters. Now, I wouldn't say that with every little piece of technology. I was a very early adopter of cone beam. I was a very early adopter of things like GenoWave. So I have kind of gone out on a limb on a handful of new technology that have actually paid off for me as far as the clinical applications are concerned. But I just don't just jump into every little thing that goes on. And that's what I'm learning from you. You're like, all right, put it in my hands. Let me see what it can do. And I'm like, well, put it in Brett's hands first. Let me see what he can do with it. Then maybe I get involved.
And that's fair. You know, maybe that's my role. Maybe that's my passion that just for some reason it excites me. And I think in some ways I've been able to help promote certain things, like for instance, the Audney Clean, which I'm really a big, but it's also helped me to say, ooh, I don't want any parts of this. And also seeing then what happens to it. Sometimes it makes it, sometimes it doesn't. But it's really important to be honest about it. And I like that exploratory nature. Now, again, I said, I don't know how many of my patients are watching this, but I promise you I'm not using anything that's not FDA approved
that's the
and
thing.
ready to go.
You're not taking reckless risks.
Never.
I mean, that
no one that knows me would
define
describe me as reckless.
Yeah, so exactly. So you're using technology and new things that have already gone through stages of development.
Yeah.
So you're not using your patients as a benchtop by any means.
No.
So let me clarify that. And I encourage everybody you're trying something new or different, don't use your patients as that benchtop. They don't deserve that. You can work on extracted teeth and things like that to kind of get used to this new product.
Always.
So yeah, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're just taking it to that next clinical step to find out if there's any clinical relevance to the new technology that's coming out there.
Yeah. And in some ways it feels a little like service because like these things come and there's a massive R&D, right? I mean, look at this room, like the size of it. And it's like, well, someone's got to sort of put it through its paces and see if it's going to work. And so I don't know why, but I've always been willing to put my neck out, including GenoWave, which, you know, I had in 2015. I had the first.
You were an early beta tester of that technology,
and probably it impacted my ultimate opinion on it because there was a lot of early issues that we were working through.
It wasn't perfected.
It wasn't. But I do think it's an incredible technology, like so many others that we have, and it's just amazing to see what our profession is going. Like Gary and Steve, to be able to get that perspective of hand filing, like they had hand files and they had radiographs.
That's it. That's it.
And to see what's happened and see that they've stayed engaged, they keep learning, they keep using, they teaching.
Evolve with the practice. I think the biggest mistake that clinicians make is getting too comfortable and not expanding what the clinical scope could be, and not looking into these newer technologies to make their job, and I don't want to say easier because I don't think that's the right word, maybe more efficient or better results.
Well, efficiency, I mean, Adam Azim was here. I forgot to mention when I did the recap, but I mean, Adam was here and he was saying efficiency was a big part. I didn't know that it's XP4D and the fourth dimension is time. Saving time with instrumentation so that you have more time for the irrigation, which we know is the magic. So really cool stuff. So Bruno was here. And basically what he said was the way we're thinking of AI is based on the lens of which we already know what's going on. And he's saying it's a whole nother dimension. Like you can create a whole new way of thinking, way of creating things. So how does that relate to case selection?
Well, right now, you know, we've got there's AI technology out there, radiographic interpretation. We've all seen that come through. How many canals there are, where they're at.
Yeah, well, one software I'm actually impressed with on that is from Vatech. It's called Clever One. And it is a software that overlies immediately your cone beam, colorizes the canals. Different tissues have a different color. So I think that they've come a long way with that. So I think we're making progress there. We could literally just code in and create something to do that. I also want to give props to my buddy Reza Farshay, but he's been working on the Endo Genie app for a long time.
So talk to me about that. I've heard about that, but I don't know much about it. What is it?
An AI decision-making app. And with that being said, Bill, why don't you talk about your app? Because your app is really like leading the game in terms of this exact topic.
So it's not AI per se, but it's so my textbook that I wrote on diagnosis and case selection is an algorithmic mind map of how endodontists think when they're choosing what case they has a better prognosis than the next. You know, the AAE defines 3 prognostic values: favorable, unfavorable, and questionable, right? So what the textbook does is it takes you from the initial inception of meeting that first patient all the way through what imaging we need or suggested image we need, the tests we need to do to kind of come to a decision making on whether or not this is a case that's a candidate for root canal treatment and what is that prognosis. So intuitively, that's great, but how do we do the endo once we decide? So that's where this new application comes into play. It's a continuation of this mind map, but not in a paper form where you're flipping pages. It's a decision making algorithm based on a digital platform, and it walks through every scenario that you can ever imagine for a non-surgical root canal treatment, and it will answer the question, what do I do next? Because we were kind of conversing a little bit in our break about how when you go and take a course, your instructor, whoever it may be Brett, it could be me, it could be Sonia, it could be Steve Buchanan, whoever's taking your course that you're taking, they're going to be there over your shoulder answering that question when you get stuck, what to do next. But what happens when you get home? What happens when you get back in your clinic and you're either working on extracted teeth to practice at home or working on that patient and you get stuck? How do you know what happens next? Well, my app is designed to answer that question 99.9% of the time and giving you the appropriate direction on what your next step is going to be to either get yourself out of trouble or get back to a comfortable level to continue the treatment process. So that's what it's about. It's right now, it's the second phase of beta testing. And I'm getting a lot of great feedback. Hopefully I can launch this in a more broader sense here within the next this year. When I built this app, there are no engineers. It's just me.
Wow.
Right? I sat there and I had to learn how to build an app. So by the time I decided, well, I think I'm going to make an app, to learning how to build the app, to having a product that's now beta testing, it's taken me about a little over a year to do.
Not surprised.
And it's very cathartic going through the process of having to really think through your workflow in every granular detail.
And the best part of what you just said is it took you over a year to build your app, but if you built another one,
I'll just go to AI.
Right,
but the thing is, so I thought about that. So AI existed when I was building this app, maybe not in the capacity because AI is just building and improving exponentially. But I look back on this, I don't think that AI would be able to get as granular of just asking it to do this. Right. But maybe what I can do and what I'm thinking about doing is taking the coding, because I'm not a coder either. So I built it through a non-coding app building program, but I can take, it has the code embedded in it. So once you learn how to use any software program, you get very versed in it. But maybe I can take this app and throw it into an AI model and have it just polish it for me a little bit more. Well, it's a functional app and it works.
The first iteration is never the final product, but it's impressive you have that many doctors, using it. I mean, you're just so driven, man. Yeah. And I did not realize that Bill's a trained musician, comes from a musical family, basically wanted to be a rock star.
I did.
You got your mic, you got your lights. I mean, does this qualify?
I almost dropped out of college to tour with my band when I called my dad. I'm dropping out of college and I'm going to go follow my band around the country. And he, on the other line, all I heard was, no, we're not. Any business is hard, but the entertainment business is super hard. Some of the best musicians in the world, you'll never hear. You'll never hear. You'll never know their name or see their work because that's not important to them. I've been on stage since I've been 6 or 7 years old performing for audiences. And so I just said, if I can't be a rock star as a musician, I'm going to be it as an endodontist.
And you know that's your fan, but you're stuck with me now for a while and I couldn't be happier. What did you walk away with as one highlight that made you feel like, wow, like the lecture, like you'll remember that part of the lecture?
Just the feedback at the end and the love you get from the people that really appreciate you and sharing that knowledge with them. The topic I was talking about was cervical resorption, which is a very challenging clinical scenario that we all have to deal with. And my take on it, my spin on it, my treatment philosophy of it, and how I've been able to manage some of these more significant cases. And if people come up to me and say, wow, I didn't know you could do that, is that satisfaction I get from just sharing what I know.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
What about you?
Yeah, it was a new topic for the AAE, which is emotional intelligence. And what got me was, number one, how many people showed up. I really wasn't sure. I was like, this could be ugly, but there was probably about 120-ish doctors there. And the message was, you came here for a reason. You showed up for you. And the idea is that, you know, we're doing all this stuff and talking about all this stuff, but the most important instrument in our procedure, in our profession, is us. And the way that we invest in ourselves and learn how emotional intelligence is about understanding your own emotions, your own triggers, your own patterns. And the message is take time each day to look inside and notice. Don't judge, just notice, because when you take care of yourself and you're regulated, it's a ripple effect out into everyone that you encounter. And I hope that with For the Love of Endo, we can ripple effect some of this positivity out to our profession.
Well said, Ron. So I guess we're going to leave it there.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ellen.